If you're a fan of old school bodybuilding, then make sure to check out Subs the Movie. Filmmaker Alex Ardenti explores the $40 billion sports supplement industry, delving into the origins, evolution, and current state of supplements used by millions of fitness enthusiasts worldwide, available at Amazon and Vimeo.
Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookham here, and today we're going to look at the back squat as performed in Vince's gym and why Vince Gironda actually loved the back squat. It is almost commonplace knowledge to all old school fans that Vince Gironda hated back squats. He even had a list of rules or commandments listed in his gym, listing the reasons for the expulsion from Vince's gym, which included asking for a squat rack, as listed in Vince's famous The Wild Physique book. But it is easy to get on the anti-Vince bandwagon and blurt out what has been repeated on and on without taking the rest of Vince's opinion on the back squat into complete context. If you read the chapter on developing the thighs in The Wild Physique, Vince gives a more thorough opinion on the back squat. Vince states, quote, "I have been accused of being against the regular back squat, and there is a great deal of truth to this claim. The squat spreads the hips. Actually, I am vehemently against the practice of heavy back squatting, whereby the trainer comes up with his behind and then proceeds to follow through to the upright position, raising first his back, then finally his head. Heavy squatting in this manner builds huge upper thighs, hips and buttocks, none of which you want. I do not exclude the usefulness of the regular back squat. It is an excellent bun builder. Yes, there are those with flat glutes who need to add more roundness. The regular back squat performed with a flat back in good non-bouncing style is ideal for rounding out the glutes." End quote. Later, he still states, quote, "Sure, the thighs have to be worked for size, and for skinny individuals, this may mean squats, but they require also a variety of different exercises." End quote. It is very obvious that when you read these statements, Vince actually, under certain circumstances, advocated the use of the back squat. Vince clearly states that he disliked the heavy back squat for bodybuilding, and although he doesn't specify it as clearly as I am doing right now, the method of heavy back squatting he disliked was that used by powerlifters that use tremendous posterior chain strength and muscle mass to lift 500-pound plus poundages on the squat, because it would keep, of course, enlarging not only the thighs, but the glute and hip muscles, and in this respect, he did have a point. Although, even the likes of Steve Reeves and Frank Zane, who use the 20-rep squat with heavy poundage, points to the fact that genetics and bone structure predetermine your hip size and not how much you can squat. Regardless of this debate, what Vince does state is that for skinny people or novices, he would recommend the regular back squat performed with a flat back and erect as possible, which is the more common bodybuilding style performed by the likes of Tom Platz, as it builds the glute and thigh muscles, which are necessary to build at least at the beginning and intermediate phases of bodybuilding. Later, of course, for more advanced athletes, Vince would recommend shaping variations of the squat, such as hack squats, frog squats, Dellinger squats, sissy squats, as advanced bodybuilders would already have sufficient thigh and glute mass, which makes then perfect sense. So one cannot simply state that Vince was completely against the back squat. As many times was the case, Vince was poorly misunderstood by most. Just looking at these photos of different bodybuilders in Vince's gym tank tops performing back squats at Vince's gym should just about destroy any doubts that Vince completely forbade back squats at his gym, but instead, back squats were performed and at times recommended by Vince Gironda. Further, little known to most is that Vince Gironda also advocated barbell back squats in his pro course for natural bodybuilders that wanted to compete. The particular squat he taught, that is the particular back squat version he taught, was called the Metabolic Squat and was a derivative of the 20-rep breathing squat. He would use it to stimulate the metabolism to become more anabolic and force growth throughout the body. If you read the Pro Series by Vince Gironda, available of course on my website, Vince introduces the Metabolic Squat in the second course of the 6 courses in the Pro Series, and in particular talks about his back squat variation of the Metabolic Squat in his leg routine. To quote Vince Gironda, quote, "Metabolic squats, straight back and heels elevated 1 to 1.5 inches, 3 sets of 20 repetitions with a weight which is not so light that you can do them with ease. From erect position with barbell behind the neck, take 2 deep breaths and hold the second breath at full inhalation and squat, holding the breath until the erect position is achieved." End quote. Here yet again is another different application of the barbell squat, that is the barbell back squat, as recommended by Vince Gironda. Now I do have to admit that both the World Physique and the Pro Series were written by Vince Gironda and published during the early 80s, and therefore Vince's attitude may have changed towards the end of his career. Most of the golden era bodybuilders that trained at Vince's gym during the 60s and 70s, such as Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jerry Branham, Frank Zane, etc., and in particular the latter of the two that I just mentioned, that is Jerry Branham and Frank Zane, two of whom I have spoken to, swear by the fact that you would be thrown out of Vince's gym if you were caught performing back squats. And you can see my interviews with them online on my channel. So again, Vince may have changed his opinion on back squats later on. It is well known that originally, however, Vince's gym did have a squat rack, and Vince actually threw it out at one point, preferring custom-made hack squat machines and other leg equipment to shape the thighs. Jerry recalls Vince teasing bodybuilders that performed the back squat, yet 1 or 2 decades later, he was advocating back squats. It may all sound contradictory, but again, these publications came out years later, and Vince may have simply told Jerry that Jerry did not need to squat because his thighs were large enough. Considering all this, it is important to realize that Vince used the barbell back squat, like all exercises, as a tool. If he believed that you needed it, he would prescribe it, he would advocate it. If Vince truly was the iron guru, such dogmatic, restrictive, and limited rules and ways of thinking do not lend themselves well with a person that is supposed to be the guru of bodybuilding. And that is exactly what, at least in my opinion, I think Vince thought like. If you needed an exercise, it would be prescribed to you. Bodybuilding was and always will be an individual pursuit, and the correct tools would be applied by Vince to get the job done. For example, considering that during the 60s and 70s, most professional bodybuilders would walk into Vince's gym as it was the greatest gym in the world prior to Gold's Gym. And when we look at the physiques of the bodybuilders at the time that actually walked into Vince's gym, such as Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jerry Branham, these guys were already massive. So why would Vince look to distort their symmetry by adding more mass to their thighs? An intelligent coach would realize that such mass required shaping, chiseling, and bringing out muscle separation. It is easy to see that, judging from the transformations that occurred, this is exactly the way Vince approached Arnold and Jerry's tuition. Through correct manipulation of diet and selective exercises, Vince was able to transform Arnold's and Jerry's physique, ready to be showcased in competition. Again, see my interview with Jerry for more details, and see my series of Arnold videos on the specific exercises he gave Arnold to shape his thighs and enhance muscular separation and detail. Understand, too, that Vince did come from the Silver Era school and was aware of the benefits of the 20-rep breathing squat, so it should come to no surprise at all that he recommended it, asking the student to perform up to 3 sets of breathing squats, and that is a big ask for anybody. However, he did ask that the student use only moderate weight, not too light, to quote Vince Gironda, and definitely not too heavy. Interestingly, and back on the topic of selectivity of exercises, Vince advocated 2 types of metabolic breathing squats, the variations being performing the front squat and the back squat as a breathing squat. He also recommended doing these with heels elevated, pointing again to his desire to shift the emphasis on thigh development as opposed to butt and hip development once a certain amount of mass had been achieved by the trainee. One example of a person that used the metabolic squat at Vince's gym is of course Don Howarth. And Vince may have actually taken the idea or refined his ideas on the back squat and on the front squat by seeing Don Howarth train. Don actually performed high rep heel elevated breathing front squats on rest days to enhance his recovery and stimulate muscle growth, as shown in these images as explained to me during our interviews. Don told me that he only used very light weight, but it enhanced his recovery and muscle growth. Another famous silver era bodybuilder that used the same method, of course, was Steve Reeves. He used both the 20 rep back squat as well as breathing front squats to enhance his ribcage and also build his thighs up. So there you have it. I do hope you have enjoyed this look at the variety of back squats that Vince Gironda taught at Vince's gym and the discussion as to why he incorporated them into routines when needed. And of course, not just back squats, but also front squats. If you have enjoyed the video, please give the video a like, subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and leave me your comments and click the bell button to be notified of future videos. That's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now.
Now, if you're interested in learning more about Vince Gironda's approach to bodybuilding, his principles, and all these tips of wisdom that he has, I mean, there's so much stuff that probably hasn't been proven by science, and it will take science to prove or disprove Vince. But to be honest, these 3 books, I believe, which I call the Classic Physique Bundle, are the best books that Vince ever came out with. And they, of course, are the Wild Physique, the Master Series, and the Pro Series. Have a look at it this way. The Wild Physique, I believe, is like the ABCs of Vince Gironda's principles to bodybuilding. He teaches you the exercises and his principles, but how do you put them together? Well, the Master Series is a 14-month program of using all of these principles, all of the diets that Vince came out with, all of the exercises, and believe me, it's a brilliant program. Many people have used it. I know personally a lot of bodybuilders that have actually used it and made fantastic results with it. And of course, the Pro Series was a book that he came out with later on, specially targeted for getting into competition. It's just these 3 books, as I call it, the Classic Physique Bundle, Vince's best work, and available, of course, at www.goldenerabookworm.com. Now, the Pro Series of Bodybuilding, which was targeted for professional bodybuilders, contains 6 programs, each of which go for 2 months each. So it's a whole year, again, in preparation for competition. Online training is now available, including my new program, Novice to Classic, a program geared towards beginners and novices looking at developing a classic physique, as well as Classic Cut, geared at those who wish to lose weight and gain muscle fast. Details available at www.goldenerabookworm.com. Need a bodybuilding poster for your gym or office? Then check out Ironman Magazine archive.smugmug.com for the highest quality posters on the planet. Scroll through the galleries of all the legends, including greats such as Arnold, Frank Zane, Sergio Oliva, Serge Nubret, Tom Platz, and Larry Scott, and much more, and select your poster now. Your favorite YouTube channel, please visit teespring.com/stores/goldenerabookworm for merchandise, including t-shirts, hoodies, face masks, phone cases, and much more. Once again at teespring.com/stores/goldenerabookworm. Become a patron at www.patreon.com/goldenerabookworm for hard to find books, scans of rare photos, and articles on the golden era of bodybuilding. To take full advantage of my collaborations, use code GEB20 with nspnutrition.com and vincegironda.com, as well as code bookworm12 at osl.com for a discount at checkout.
I don't think that Bill Phillips looked at it as, I want to compete against them. I want to destroy them.
If they pass legislation basically making any type of food supplement a prescription item, that would be the end, the death of the entire food supplement industry.
Take your vitamin pill now.
In the 1960s, the sports supplement industry was barely emerging.
I think the reason why Joe Weider was so successful was he had Arnold on his side.
He wasn't selling supplements. He was in the dream business.
Joe Weider was a marketing genius.
People would say the promotions or the endorsements back then were cheesy. To me, it wasn't. I loved it.
Fitness was taking off. You know, fitness became cool. You had a lot of readers that wanted to be like the stars that they idolized.
Bill's strength is his marketing savvy. He's a marketing genius.
Got it. It's only vitamin.
The right of American citizens to have free access to dietary supplements of their choice.
Consult your physician. You might as well consult the next guy you meet on the street. They don't know a damn thing about vitamins and nutrition.
The dietary supplement industry became the #2 most regulated industry. Nuclear, dietary supplements, pharmaceutical. We're more regulated than drugs.
They come in and you need to allow the FDA. They have jurisdiction.
The enforcement is kind of the questionable side of it, and how do they really get a handle on this monster?
A lot of people tell me that the dietary supplement industry is completely unregulated. It's the wild, wild west out there. It's a free-for-all. That could not be further from the truth.
A dietary supplement is not allowed to have a side effect. I always say the pharmaceutical has to have a minimum of 100 side effects in order for it to be a drug.
And now, it's a $40 billion industry and growing.
That's the really interesting thing, is the cast of characters from the 80s, when it was kind of iffy, to now when it's a lot more legitimate.
They made it sound cutting edge, revolutionary, and different, and I want that. That's cool.
We are in this industry to improve our health. It's not just a vanity project here. We're working on our lifeline. We eat a certain way to improve our health. We train a certain way to improve our health. Supplements are just that. They supplement your work, your graft, your nutrition.
They demonize dietary supplements, but they say all you need is real food. Well, what's a real food?
They pump you up and get you hard, stronger, faster, bigger.
Doc, I want to take this weight gain. I want to take this pre-workout. Doctor's, no way. That stuff, we don't know what's in that. It could be, no way. I'm not going to give you, it's going to kill the industry, bottom line.
So I must have drank so much protein powder from age 15 to 18 that my head was going to explode.
I believed in metrics so much that I would probably punch somebody in the face if they tried to take it away from me.